we've got a challenge coming up. I thought it's a really good time to have a think about and understand why people love challenges. So we'll get the details of the challenge a bit later on, but I think it's worthwhile digging a bit deeper into the psychology of challenges, why so many people have responded to this challenge, why people are genuinely excited. So give us your insights. What's the thinking behind the challenge, and why do people get so excited about being challenged?
I think first of all, it's an interesting time of year, right?
Yes.
So we're coming to the end of the month, the end of the year, and right now the end of the decade.
It is 2020. It's the end.
It's right. So here we are. We're coming up to the end of 2019, 2019, and people, when we get to those really important milestones, people start to think about where am I? Where am I in my life? What did I do in the last decade? So people do usually a big reflection piece at this time of year.
Yeah, they do it anyway for New Year, don't they? Do the New Year's resolution, but this is like the extra layer. So it's the New Year resolution plus the new decade resolution. So it's a real time for people to think back. Have I achieved what I've said? From the feedback we're getting, a lot of people have said, I was here and then I let things slip, and now the new decade I'm really wanting to focus on. And so it's a good time to reset those goals.
It is. And so whether it's your career, whether it's your life, whether it's your family, whether it's a house, and people tend to set goals and set plans in 10-year cycles.
Actually, yeah.
So a lot of people will think, some people are short term, some people look at the day, the week, the month, but a lot of people, and when we're talking about wellness, we actively encourage people to think about long term. You're going to live
it's a long game.
A long life. It's a long game. So that naturally inspires people to think, okay, well, where am I? End of the decade, start of a new decade. What do I want? What do I want to achieve in my life? And people are starting now, I think, more than ever to think about, what about my health? So, if you're in your 40s, your 50s or your 60s, you think about, what about my health? Am I where I need to be? Is my wellness where it needs to be? Is my weight, is my energy? So you start to look at yourself, you make comparisons to how you were 10 years ago. You start to project forward and think about, where do I want to be in 10 years' time?
Where are the kids going to be? Where's the family? Where's all the people around me going to be? And you do that comparison piece. In 10 years' time, I'll be X years old. What do I want to be doing at X years, and how am I going to be able to do that physically if I'm not well? So there's, and I guess this time of year as well, because everyone does it's Christmas, it's New Year, so I'm not going to do anything now, because everyone gets caught up in that trap of, it's the festivities. So everyone looks forward to clear the slate, January the 1st, New Year's Day. There's a couple of days drifting over past that because there's the New Year's parties. And then early January, people are like, right, before I get back to work, before I get into it, let's reset some goals.
And that's why, as you said, people set New Year's resolutions. And one of the challenges, excuse the pun, with New Year's resolutions is that people set out their goals.
Yes.
They do it on a sort of bit of a whim.
Yep.
They come up with a big list of goals, all the things that they want to achieve. I want a new car, I want a new house, I want, I want some wealth, I want a better job. And they come up with all these goals. And a lot of people, first of all, are unrealistic with their goal setting. Secondly, they set out a lot of material goals or things that they're not in control of. And so they set out, at the start of the year, and very quickly they don't achieve the goals. So, they either, if it's health and wellness, they might fall off the wagon, or they don't get the job they wanted, or they're not able to move where they wanted to, and all these things they don't achieve.
And I think that's,
so they sort of fall down a bit. Yeah,
I mean, everyone sets New Year's resolutions, and so many people do, you say, fall off the wagon. But I think one of the keys, one of the attractions of a challenge is that, yes, you get to set the goals, but you're not left alone. So that plays into that psyche of why people are attracted to challenges.
Exactly right. So why are challenges so popular? I think there's a whole bunch of reasons. The first one is that if you think about achieving a goal or developing a new habit or making an improvement in your health or your wellness, you need support.
You do.
So trying to do it on your own. Some people are really good at this. Some people they can set a goal and they can just go hell for leather at that goal and they'll do it.
Yes.
They're determined, they've got everything they need, all the resources they need, they've got the money, the time, the lifestyle, everything at their disposal. Other people recognise that they can't do it alone, and whether they set out to get a personal trainer or get a coach. So a lot of people say, I need some help, and they go and find themselves some help. Now, the problem with a lot of that help is it might come in the form of a coach or a trainer, which is really expensive.
True.
So what we've got now is we've got challenges that run, and you see them everywhere. And the benefit of a challenge is you're joining a group
Of like-minded people.
Yes. So you've got that group mentality.
Yep.
You're all going to do something. And it's a bit like when you're out on an adventure, you're going to on one of these adventure races, or you're doing something in a team at work.
It's camaraderie, isn't it? Team spirit.
Camaraderie, the team spirit, all of that helps you get through. So when you hit a really tough point, as you will in any challenge,
Yes.
that's why they're called challenges, you're
Yes.
going to do something difficult. When you hit those tough spots, you've got people around you who are going to support you through, encourage you through, and also you're not going to want to let them down or let the person leading the challenge down. So you're much more likely to stick with it and see it through.
Yeah.
And if you can see something like a 14 or a 20 or a 30-day challenge through, you've likely made some new habits, you've had some wins, you've tasted success.
Yeah.
So you're then more inspired and motivated to keep going from that point.
So that's on the I guess the positive motivation side. The other thing which we know people love is the accountability.
Absolutely.
It's when they slip up, or they find it's tough, or they think, should I give up? It's having that accountability to whoever's running the challenge, accountability to whoever's they've committed to, said, there might be their partner or family, I'm doing a challenge. So there's all these layers of accountability that people love to respond to, and that just gets them to toughen up and do the extra and push themselves through.
It does, and when you think about a challenge, the best sort of challenge are the people who are going to push you and hold you accountable. Not so that you're on the brink.
No.
You don't want to be having a burnout or a breakdown or something like that. You want people who will support you.
Tough love.
So it's tough love. So they're going to push you along, they're going to help you, they're going to encourage you, they'll be your cheerleaders, but they'll also recognise there's a point at which you need a bit of a hug, metaphorically, and they're there to support you, to pick you up, to set you back on track, and just to make sure that you don't deviate too far from your goal. And I think if you look at challenges, the best challenges are where you've got the right type of goal. So instead of, I want to lose 5 kilos, I'd like to lose a bit of weight so I can play with my kids.
Yes.
I can move around better.
Yeah.
My joints are feeling better.
Yeah.
Those are better goals to have because there's a deeper motivation. So
starting the challenge with those
really
whys.
good goal.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, being held accountable. It's not even just when you slip or fall. It's about the fact that you show up.
Yes.
So we know from group psychology that people who come into that sort of environment, they are likely to show up.
Yes.
Whereas if people are doing stuff on their own,
daily expectations, and also it's accountability, but with coaching and guidance and expertise, because it's easy to go to somewhere where someone's just holding you accountable, but at some stage you're going to say, what, I'm finding it difficult. Can you help me? Can you give me some tips, tricks, ideas? And I think that's where the challenges are great, because there's people who run the challenges who can give you the guidance and the coaching to keep you going, not just say, come on, but actually back that up with some great advice.
Exactly right. And I think the other thing is, again, you're on a journey, you're working through with a bunch of people, and what you're going to do is you're going to make some small changes every day.
Yes.
And those small changes, a few percent every day, one better thing every day, over say a 20-day period, is going to lead to a fairly significant change. Whereas a lot of people will start their New Year's resolution with this big goal that's unachievable. Bam, I want to do this. They don't achieve it, straight away they've fallen down. Whereas in the challenges, typically, you set a goal that you like to get to, but you start small.
Yes.
You take the baby steps. As you succeed, as you get some wins, then you take bigger and bigger steps. And by the end of it, before you know it, you've achieved whatever it is that you actually set out to achieve. So I think that's really, really important as well.
I think one of the other things about challenges, it's different to a group coming together in one place and going through a challenge together. A challenge like we've got running, which is a global challenge, means that we can have someone on the other side of the world looking to lose 1 kilo and do some gentle exercise, and someone on this side of the world looking to really push themselves and take themselves through quite a challenging program. They're all doing the challenge, but their goals and the way they conduct themselves is vastly different, but they're all under the umbrella of the challenge and getting the same benefits and support.
They are, and again, that's the beauty of it. You can have individual, customized, unique goals, perfect for you, but you've got all of that support. So I think having that support network, whether it's local, whether it's global. So what we know in today's world is that we are very connected through technology, but we're not connected to each other. So a lot of people tend to find themselves really isolated. And a good example is people who are starting on the keto lifestyle.
Yes.
They get onto the keto lifestyle, they make a start, they do really well, they're having their good fats, they're getting rid of the carbohydrates, and then in steps somebody that they know and says, oh, that's the worst thing you could do for your health. Don't even think about that. And they've hit this obstacle, this challenger, this naysayer.
Yes, the
naysayers.
And,
they don't know how to deal with that. And they may not have a support network locally because we don't have that sense of community where we live anymore. But if you're part of a local, national, global community with, as you said, like-minded people who are trying to achieve the same sort of thing, they're all on their keto journey, then you can get onto the group and say, hey, I just had this challenge from my best friend. What do I do? And then people will jump on there and say, hey, look, I had that same problem and this is what I did. This worked. Don't tackle it head on. And they'll give you advice. And I think having that support network, again, just doubles or triples your chance of success.
All right, so challenges are great.
Challenges are great. And sorry, I've got to talk about community.
Good. Talk about community.
Because we've talked about support network.
Yes.
But I think there's a really big thing, which is community feeling. And I touched on it there a bit, but people love community. We as humans, we are pack animals, we are community driven. And as much as that, you do get some people who'll be very happy to be isolated, most people enjoy community feeling. They enjoy that, again, the team spirit, the community spirit.
And the ability to be recognised by that community when they do well or they succeed. People love that sort of that recognition, that lift they get.
It's exactly why people join sports teams, sports clubs. They have those sort of hobbies. Again, a challenge group of like-minded people can become a new community.
Absolutely.
And it's a great way that technology brings us together and enables and facilitates that. Again, you could have somebody on the other side of the world, but they're part of your community and you feel a real connection to them because they're sharing the same experiences that you're going through.
So the benefits, the emotional, the physical, the community, the psychological. So there's a huge benefit of the challenge and all the reasons why people love the challenge and succeed in challenges.
And we do know, and by the way, we've got to talk about the fact that people on challenges, again, are 3 to 4 times more likely to succeed. Well, absolute minimum. So, it's a winner.
It's a winner
all round.
All right, so what are we doing? So let's talk about our challenge, the challenge that's coming up for 2020. Let's have a chat about the details because I think those people tuning in, just let's walk through, I guess, why we're running the challenge because we're passionate about helping people, but what's the elements of the challenge that people can expect and what are some of the things they're not going to know about?
Wow.
Some of the secret squirrel stuff.
Secret, don't tell anybody. So I guess the main part of the challenge, we do run a lot of challenges and this is a special time of year. It is the start of the new decade. It is the start of the new year. And so, this will be one of our bigger challenges. We love to run them. We love to work with people, to help people, to coach people. We run our challenges for free. There's never a cost involved, and this is really our way to give back to our community. So the Peaks Life has a global community, and whether it's whether you're a Facebook follower or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or YouTube, doesn't matter where you are. You're part of that community, and we love working with the community. And challenges are those great opportunities for us to just give a little bit back to our community.
And it's interesting because so many people sort of question what do you get out of the challenge, and are you selling a product or a service, and the answer is no. But obviously there's a lot of challenges out there where people do feel compelled to buy or take a service or pay a fee. So these challenges that we run are purely for the benefit of those involved.
Absolutely.
There's no cost to be involved. There's no sales tactics. There's nothing else they need to do other than just make a commitment to the challenge.
Absolutely right.
And personally, I love the name. So it's the Peaks 2020 Challenge. It's the 2020, which is the new decade, and it's 20 days.
It's 20
and we've chosen
days.
the dates January the 6th.
We have.
Why?
Well, I think this is an interesting
We debated
one.
over this one, didn't
Yeah,
we?
we did. And apart from the fact that, 2020, 2020 sounds cool, we started on the 6th of January, and that's because we don't want to start on the 1st of January.
That's a tough one.
It's a tough one because you may be hungover.
Yes.
You may be, New Year's Eve hungover.
Yes.
So maybe not on alcohol, but food.
Sugar toxified.
You may be partied out.
Yes.
You're just at that point where you've had that whole Christmas and New Year period with
To go cold turkey is very difficult.
Yeah, you've had lots of social engagements. You're probably catching up on socials and emails and all those things. You probably still have lots of family commitments on New Year's Day. A lot of people do have special events on New Year's Day.
Yep.
So all of those things are going to make it difficult for you to jump into the challenge group and give it 100%, and B, actually start, because there's probably still too much going on in your world.
So you had the first 4 or 5 days of January just to chill, be with family, do all the right things, get your head in the game. You're probably going to need to set up and do some planning and get organised, because on Monday the 6th is when it starts.
It is.
And then it runs through to Saturday the 25th. It was good, wasn't it?
You weren't sure about that, were you?
I was counting like tick, 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 tick.
Burns night in Scotland.
Burns night in Scotland, the eve of Australia Day in Australia if you're tuning in. But essentially it's 20 days. So it's a 20-day, it's not a full 4 weeks. It's a 20-day period, which is actually a really good amount of time to commit to a challenge.
And that's it. I think there's some really key things in there. If you're going to do a challenge, if you're doing hours or you want to jump onto hours, then it is 20 days where we expect 100% commitment.
Tough love, tough love.
Tough love. And the reason we expect 100% commitment, because it's not fair to other people in the group if you don't. So if you want to do this, awesome. Give it your all though, just give it everything. And hence the starting a few days after New Year. You've got 5 days to really get yourself sorted out. So figure out your goals, do the research, work out what you want to achieve with this, and then you can hit the ground running. Whereas a lot of challenges, you get the information on day one, and it takes you 4 or 5 days to orientate yourself. So we've got that 5-day lead in where you can start to wind up. You can you can read the information, you can listen to podcasts like this, get yourself ready, do any shopping that you need to do, and then really hit the ground running and hit it hard. On day one, you get all that support. 20 days is, in our opinion and in our experience, enough time to start to form good habits.
Yes.
And certainly with the 3 things, which we will talk about in a second, the 3 things we're going to cover, you are definitely going to get results.
Yes.
Right? So in 20 days, you will see results
Which is
of
excellent.
different kinds, and everybody will get their own set of results.
Which is cool. And then also at the end of the 20 days, which is the 25th of January, you've also, for a lot of people, the kids go back to school end of January, early February.
If you're in somewhere like
Southern
Australia.
Hemisphere, yes, but you've got Southern Hemisphere,
not most
Singapore.
countries.
So I'm thinking there's a little bit of time between finishing the challenge and then restarting back into the school year for a lot of people in the Southern Hemisphere.
In Australia.
That's my logic. Well, not just Australia, Singapore.
No,
not Singapore.
Australia.
All right, so those people from Australia tuning in, you're sorted. I may have set the dates with my Australian twang because I want to have a really good Australia day, so I may have just tweaked the dates slightly, but that's okay. We've got 20 days. All right. So,
but our US friends and our European friends, it's all good because, again, the 20 days, it's almost like a bit of a dead spot in January.
It is.
We've had the high of Christmas. We've had the high of New Year. In Europe, it's winter. In some parts of the US, it's winter. So it's not a fun time of year.
No.
So this is a great thing to keep you motivated, keep your spirits high,
through the cold weather,
and get you through that. So, what do we focus on?
Okay, so in this particular challenge, we've got 3 elements that we're focusing on. Which one do you want to start with first?
Well, I am going to start with. I'm actually going to start with food.
Okay, so with food, we are expecting those on the challenge to follow the food recommendations or the guidelines for the 20 days. So we've made this one keto and clean. So you can just walk us through so people tuning in know if they are a diehard keto, it's great. They can just jump into the challenge and their food is sorted and we can coach them and help them through that. But if they're not in the keto space, we've added in clean for what reason?
So primarily we're interested in keto and I'll be really honest about that.
Yep.
And most of the people in our community are on the ketogenic lifestyle, or they want to start, or they've heard something about it and they're interested in it.
Yes.
So we will be doing 2 key things in the keto lifestyle. We'll be eating keto foods, and we'll be following the keto fasting guidelines, the intermittent fasting. Now, that's great, but we've had a lot of requests on previous challenges of people saying, I'm not ready for keto, or I'm close to keto, or I'm carnivore, or I'm just doing low carb, I'm not quite keto. Or even I'm a bit far off that, I'm not ready to get to start there, or I've been doing Whole30 or one of those other way of eating. And so what we've done is we've opened it up a little bit this time. We said you can do clean, right? And clean, what we're talking about here is eating whole foods where you can. So making the healthy choice, trying to choose foods which are not packaged and they're not processed, because we know that packaged and processed foods contain a lot of toxic ingredients, a lot of chemicals that are not good for the body.
Yes.
We're going to remove sugars, and we're going to remove any kind of artificial sweeteners where we can again. We're going to remove junk foods. And so we're really going to, what we would say, clean up the diet, and there'll be a lot more guidelines once we announce that. But it's basically trying to get your diet, your way of eating, as clean as you possibly can, and back to a whole foods diet, which will, if you're not eating like that right now, it will benefit you enormously.
Yes.
The next step from that is into the ketogenic, and that's where we're going to get rid of the carbohydrates, and we're going to go low carbohydrate and high fat. So option 1, eat clean, whole foods, not processed, not junk, not toxic fats, not sugars, not artificial sweeteners. Option 2, go all in, come and join us on the keto lifestyle. And, there'll be plenty of information on both for everybody.
Absolutely. So they can make that choice, and we'll provide coaching and guidance and support. And their obligation obviously is to, well, not obviously, but what their obligation is to on a daily basis monitor what they're eating, because we're going to collect some of the information as we go through the challenge, aren't we, to make sure people stay on track. People are going to submit some of their data so we can say awesome, or give some advice or guidance.
And that's really important, is that we are going to make you write things down. Now, it may not be with a pen and paper, it may be electronically. We actually don't really care. What we want you to do is to go through that process of documenting what you're doing. And the reason for that is there's nowhere to hide. So if you don't document, this is all about psychology. If you don't document, you don't write it down, you don't record it, then people find excuses, ways around it, loopholes. They're not true to themselves, they're not honest. And so one of our big jobs in these sort of challenges is to keep you honest, and that's part of the tough love. So if you come to us and say, this is what I had, we might challenge you. So did you really?
Yes.
And that's not about being difficult. It's not about pushing you. It's about helping you get to the point where you are honest, and you're able to deal with any challenges that you've got in the food space.
And we've had so many people who've learned so much on challenges simply because they thought they were doing the right thing, or they submitted information saying this is what I ate, but really when we've dug into it, what they've actually eaten is totally different to what they thought they were eating. And so there's a huge education piece in there. So by writing it down or putting it into an app or putting it into a tool, you can collect it, it can be analysed, and we can give some feedback and some guidance. So it's a very, very powerful tool.
It's incredibly powerful. And, people tuning in would be surprised at when we look at something as simple as macros. How much protein are you having in a day? How much fat are you having? How many carbohydrates? People think they know how to eat. People think they know what keto is. And again, don't want to sound condescending in any way whatsoever, but people often get a real shock with this one when their graphs, their pie charts, their macros don't look how they're meant to look. And some of that is, and it's really understandable. I can empathise with people big time on this, because one of the biggest things we do, especially on keto, is we increase fat significantly, and we drop carbohydrates down, very different to our standard diets. And so if you're somebody who has always eaten low fat, and all of a sudden we're saying to you, now increase your fats, and they increase what they think is significantly, but it's probably nowhere near the macros of the ketogenic lifestyle. And so again, if you are coming into it, you're maybe a bit fat phobic, you're going to resist putting that fat onto your meals. And having somebody like us to say, look, understand it's difficult, but you're still a long way off. And people say, I'm not getting the results. Well, it's because you're not hitting your macros. But sometimes you just need an objective person
To say, "Oi."
on the outside to say,
Come on.
hang on a second, let's just take a second
Yeah,
look
yeah.
and let's maybe make a few tweaks or even bigger tweaks, and let's see if we can get you to where you need to be.
Okay, so a big part of the challenge will be food, monitoring food, guiding, coaching, making sure people are eating everything that they need to eat to support the results they want to achieve. Second part is all around movement.
It is. And, I think that there's a lot of misconceptions around movement, but essentially what we're talking about here is committing to a certain amount of movement every day, but some very specific blocks of movement during the week.
Yes.
And again, some of this will be personalised to each individual, but what we know is everybody, regardless, has become more sedentary over a period of time. And so if you look back at, maybe 20 years, you probably find you are more sedentary now than you used to be. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop healthy patterns and healthy amounts of movement. So we're looking for as much movement as you can do, but we're looking for some specific blocks about 3 times a week that you commit to. And whether we call it movement or exercise or fitness, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We'll help you design something that's good for you, but it's about committing to those 3 specific blocks and achieving them and reporting back on them.
Excellent. And the last one, which is one of our faves, is sleep. Making sure that for the duration of the challenge, we are monitoring and we're trying to achieve a certain amount of good quality sleep each day.
It is, and this is a really interesting one because I almost wanted to put this first because, to me and to us, sleep is more important than diet. So food and fasting and movement and exercise combined, because there are so many benefits that come with good sleep. All the health benefits. It will assist you in your weight loss journey. It will help your body recover from the movement and exercise that you do. So just in terms of health, longevity, wellness, everything that we're trying to achieve, sleep underpins it. And one of the things you find about a lot of challenges is they cover food. People want to lose weight, so they do diets. And that really is that diet mentality. Or it's a fitness challenge, so they're just doing the exercise component. This, we're looking at everything, and we're looking at making sure that all of your food and fasting and your movement benefits are assimilated through good sleep. It's also because we know from all the work that we do, Mike, that people struggle to get good sleep. They struggle to get enough, and they struggle to get good quality sleep.
Yes, they don't give sleep the love it deserves.
They don't. And so I predict, my 2020 prediction is that most people will struggle to achieve the sleep that we would be recommending.
And we're recommending what? 7.5 hours?
7.5 hours as a minimum. There is no right and wrong answer in terms of how much sleep each person needs. But what we know is that the average person will need between 7 and 9 hours sleep. 7 to me is a little bit too short. If we're aiming for 7.5 hours of sleep, you want to be in bed for 8 hours, ideally. So that's quite tough for a lot of people to put down devices, to put down work, to put down family stuff, to commit to being in bed, horizontal, eyes closed, lights out for an 8-hour time block. And there'll be people tuning in right now who will be saying, yeah, I'm not sure. There'll be other people tuning in who will say, yeah, I get that. I do that already. But if they actually were to track their sleep, they were to use a ring or a watch or a mobile phone, they might find that they're not anywhere near where they think. So people sort of fool themselves a bit with sleep.
They do.
And again, it's one of those things where we do it passively. We go to bed, we fall asleep, we get up the next morning and we start, and we do other things much more actively, like movement and like diet. Whereas sleep
just happens.
It happens. We don't put the effort in. So what we're trying to do is to elevate the importance, because this is probably a game changer for a lot of people in terms of their health, wellness and longevity. So let's make it a priority and let's actively try and sleep better.
So that's the 20 days, isn't it, really? That's the primary focus, is making sure you follow what you're committing to when it comes to food, whether it's clean or keto. Making sure you're focused on what you're committing to when it comes to movement. So you're going to choose a movement or exercise type 3 times a week. Trying to get good quality 7.5 hours sleep each night. And then you've got some plans for some little things that are going to happen during the 20 days, aren't you?
It's exciting. So we're going to cover those 3 big building blocks.
That's what people are committing to for the 20 days?
That's it. So that's your minimum. So if you do nothing else, come in. we'll help you with your food, your movement, and your sleep.
Yes.
So, and that's a fantastic starting point.
Tuck you in every night.
That's exactly it. So it really is a fantastic starting point. And by doing this, you're doing amazing things for your wellness.
Yep.
But then we got lots of people who are interested to go a little bit beyond that. And so every day we're going to have a theme or a topic. It might be something around the psychology. It might be tips. It might be recipes. We'll have something every single day so that you'll get some additional information. And then for those who are keen to just push a little bit further, or they've already, got the keto lifestyle nailed, they're doing the fasting, they've got the movement down, they want to go to the next level, we will have additional components to the challenge.
Cool.
Completely optional. You don't have to do them. So there'll be the core 3, and then there'll be some additional components as well. So really exciting.
Something there for everyone, isn't there?
Absolutely.
So it's exciting. It starts in, 10 days?
Oh, something like that.
10,
I'm not
12
sure
days.
exactly, but
the big
6th
countdown.
of January.
And we've still got places, so we still have people who want to come in,
I mean,
join you.
that's right. The reality is, we want as many people as possible. However, there is a limit because we do give personal support. We do answer messages. We do try to do that in a really timely fashion, and to make sure that we're giving everybody, individual support. There is a limit. We've got quite a few people coming in, but there is a limit on how many people that we can take. So if you are interested, find us on any platform. It doesn't matter which one, whether you're on YouTube right now, pop us a comment. If you're listening on the podcast, pop us a comment, or find us on one of the social platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can get to us everywhere, or email peaks@thepeakslife.com.
And we will respond, and we will get you booked in.
We will.
And we'll get your challenge started.
We will. So drop us a comment, drop us a message, book your place, and let's do this. There's no excuse.
No excuse for those people tuning in. There's no excuse. They've got every possible platform to contact us.
They have.
Every reason in the world. It's going to be a great challenge. Looking forward to it.